good wins, inspiring great lives like yours. We all desire good. We yearn for the happy ending and are hardwired to expect it. Today it can be easy to lose hope, become discouraged. Good can seem tricky to find. Good Wins says this: regardless of how things appear, good, as you define it, will prevail. What you're going through right now will somehow work to your advantage, and everything will be okay.
Hello and welcome. It's nice to be with you. My mother used to tell me, "Be kind to each person you meet, for everyone is carrying a heavy load." As a young boy, this didn't make sense. The people around me looked fine. They didn't seem to be struggling. It took me a while, but I realized she was right. As I grew older, I took on problems of my own and learned from others that they had theirs too. May I offer a little kindness to you today? Regardless of the challenges you face, or whatever may be happening in your world, there is another chapter just around the corner. Goodness will prevail. Good things will happen to you and for you. Good wins. May I invite you also to rest for a moment. Set aside your cares and concerns. My clock is set for 15 minutes. May our time together give you comfort, assurance, and hope. I have struggled with self-esteem and confidence my entire life. I was labeled not good enough when I was young. I allowed that to stick, and along with it came struggle and pain, an attitude that I wasn't worthy of the things other people had, only worthy of less than. The outlook for my future predicted not abundance, but lack. Related to that, for many years I believed that you couldn't give what you didn't get. For example, if you didn't have a good childhood, you couldn't be a good parent. If you weren't given love as a child, how could you show love to someone else? If you grew up in lack, you certainly couldn't achieve abundance. I was wrong. You can give what you didn't get. You can find it. How do I know? Because I found things I didn't get. So can you. The title of my message today is Believing for Abundance. My father's father drove a meat delivery truck. My mother's father was a draftsman for the railroad. Both were married, and neither of their wives worked outside their home. My dad left school after the 8th grade. Mom had a job as a secretary, but she quit to raise me, my brother, and my sister. I come from working class roots. We always had enough, but just enough. Going out to eat at a restaurant was considered a sign of success. I can count on one hand the number of times we did this. I was raised to love family, to be a good boy, and to behave. I was not raised to expect much in terms of wealth, success, or abundance of any kind. We never talked about it. It was assumed that these things were for other people. It wasn't clear who they were, but they weren't us. No one close to me was a role model for what was then called the good life. We were working people. We made life better for others, and in the process enjoyed enough, but again, just enough. I heard that there was a rich uncle in the family somewhere, a mysterious man who I knew little about. He was to me at the time little more than a legend. I had no contact with him, but the idea that there could be someone in the extended family who had more than enough intrigued me. May I stop for a minute and clarify something? I should explain exactly what I mean when I say abundance. Money is one measure of abundance, probably the most common. Did I seek money? I certainly did. But my goal was something else. There is a difference between wealth and an attitude of possibility. That's what I wanted. I wanted a new way of thinking, a new perspective or outlook. Being able to say, yes, let's do that more often. Having fewer limits, more opportunity, a broader horizon than just getting by. That's what I mean when I say abundance. My parents divorced when I was 10. Mom hadn't worked now for many years. She felt she had no marketable skills, but needed an income. The family home was deemed too big and too expensive, so it was sold. Mom needed a house big enough for her and the 3 kids, but small enough that she could afford. A friend told her about a job where she would get full-time pay and benefits, have summers off, and be home every night to make meals for us and to be with us kids. She drove a school bus. In all honesty, we were not poor. We were getting by. But there wasn't any money for something unexpected. I remember clearly wanting things that seemed simple. Things like school supplies, new clothes, or money for a class trip. It felt like the other kids got them. I wanted them too, but began to feel guilty for wanting things that I knew my mom couldn't afford. For me, this is when the idea of wanting more set in. I didn't want to feel guilty asking for something, and I didn't want my mom to feel the shame of not being able to provide it. This notion of having just enough felt to me like we were one step away from losing everything. Living like this instilled in me a sense of fear and anxiety. The obvious answer to my problem was having more, but as I looked around, no one seemed to know how to get there. Are you hoping for more? Do you imagine a life that's easier, more plentiful, with less struggle? I don't know where you are in your journey toward more, but this is my point. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a roadmap. And worst of all, I didn't even feel like I deserved it. But I ended up okay, and you can too. What did I have? Desire. A dream for better, a dream for more, a yearning for comfort and stability. Have I thought about winning the lottery and being rich beyond imagination? Yes, but the likelihood of that happening was too remote. My dreams were for a life more attainable, more realistic, more like what I saw in others. So I had a dream of a future that looked much different than my reality and no practical way to get there. What now? I took steps. First, I got honest with myself and accepted that whatever I would attain would take some time. My new life would not happen overnight, but the best time to start was right now. Second, I began to convince myself that abundance wasn't just for other people. There was every reason why I should have it too. I erased the notion that I didn't deserve it, and I replaced those thoughts with a belief that I could enjoy a bigger life than what I had experienced before. I've said many times, your life will go in the direction of your strongest thoughts. Change your thoughts, change your life. Before I close, may I say a little bit about how your environment can affect your vision of abundance? I live in a medium-sized town in the Midwest. The population, income level, and general optimism hit its peak just before I was born. Each of these things has been on a steady, gradual decline ever since. Slow and constant deterioration is like death by 1,000 cuts. It's painful when all you see is loss. It changes you as stores close, roads crumble, and people move away. It's hard to think abundance when you are surrounded by lack. The people around you are also part of your environment. Maybe those closest to you haven't made the best decisions. Maybe you come from a long line of people who live without the basics: food, clothing, shelter, love. Here's my point. Your environment and those around you, they don't have the last word. You do. They have in part made you into the person you are today, but they don't have to limit your tomorrow. A final thought on environment. My success or anyone else's doesn't limit you. It doesn't take anything away from what is available to you. The same is true in reverse. My lack, my disaster, or the smallness of my life has no impact on you. It's irrelevant. If your neighbor has more or less than you do, it's not stopping or limiting you. There is enough abundance to go around. May I speak to you from my heart? When I was young, the idea of abundance, a life with more than enough, an attitude of possibility, wasn't modeled for me. I had to discover it for myself. I lived for years with an attitude of lack, less than enough. Thoughts of lack sound like this: I don't have $10, I can't give it to you. For a long time I believed this. Thoughts of abundance sound different. They sound like this: I may not have it today, but I can get it, whatever it is. Life unfolded for me, and it can for you. I firmly believe that doors open all the time. Sometimes we don't recognize open doors as opportunities. Other times we are afraid or unsure, so we let opportunity go by. The good news is, doors open all the time. If you miss one, there will be another. You must be on the lookout, and you must be willing to take action when it comes. My life changed because my radar was up. I was on the lookout for opportunity and willing to walk through the door when it opened. I learned how to be different than my past. So can you. Regardless of your surroundings, your childhood, your environment, you can give to others what you didn't get. You can be a wonderful mother, even if that wasn't modeled for you. A terrific dad. You can have a career, a job you love, even if no one around you does. How do you define abundance? The choice is up to you. If you weren't shown an abundant life, spend little time in blame. There is no value there, no movement forward. Let it go. Try forgiveness. Then you will be free to find others who have what you want. Learn from them. Learn their strengths and how they overcame their obstacles. Your story will be different, but their examples can help you along the way. Are you willing to make it happen no matter what? Take the first step, which is believing that however you define it, abundance is possible for you. You can learn whatever you may need along the way. You can get those things that others didn't originally give to you, and you can give it to others. The abundance you find can change not only your life, but the lives of those most important to you. Dream of a better day, a better life. Make your dream a thought, a constant thought. Think on it until you've created a vision, a picture so real that you can write about it or speak about it to a stranger. Then internalize it so deep that it becomes your belief. When you know that you know, then watch as you move toward that which you believe in. People will come into your life to help you, to remove barriers, to give what you haven't got on your own. Regardless of the challenges you face or whatever may be happening in your world, there is another chapter just around the corner. Goodness will prevail. Good things will happen to you and for you. Good wins.